Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages with our special guest, Chantelle.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hello, guys. I love the introduction.
We
Very
all know
such
you. We have stood on the same floor with you at author events, and I personally work with you. But for everybody out there who is listening, and it is a mix of readers and authors, can you just let us know what you do and your journey? That's what we're here for.
a little bit about me. It's a bit of jack of all trades, I would say. So obviously I started a passion project probably about a year and a half ago now. It's turned into now a small social media and PR agency. So I run that for indie authors, specializing, with their marketing strategy for all their books. And I also work for Kat T. Mason as her PA and social media marketing strategist as well.
And in the store, right? In Books Ever
Yeah,
After? Yeah.
books are also,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm very connected in this industry. I absolutely love it.
Perfect. So give us all of the gossip. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
Like, you need the juice right away.
Yes, where is the
I'm
tea? No.
thinking for hours.
What is your favorite part of everything that you do?
I guess my favorite part is honestly, I like I've always loved to read. I feel like I have been reading since I was born. So the fact I get to do what I absolutely love every day, working alongside amazing authors, I don't have a bad word to say about any of my clients that I have. I've come from a corporate role as well. So how this all kind of came about was it's a funny story. So, which I'm probably sidetracking now, but
I love it.
uh,
Sidetrack because I love funny stories.
sidetrack
No, I
away.
want to know how you got to this. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you probably already have that question, but I'm just gonna go into it. So essentially, I was in my corporate agency role, working my 9 to 5, and Kat actually called me and was like, "Do you like your job?" Like literally, like called
That
me
sounds
and
like
said,
Cat.
It literally does.
"Do you like your job?" And I was like, I don't mind it. And she was like, "Well, I have an opportunity for you." So since then, I guess the rest is history because she basically promised like a work-life balance that I didn't have at the time, and basically said there's so many opportunities in the romance industry, which at the time I was very much like, is there? I was very scared, like
Yeah,
honestly,
that's a
like
lot to give up. I mean, you're giving up your whole career with money, like stable money you
Guaranteed
feel,
money.
and then to be like, okay, I'm going over to this world that like.
yes, yes. And even like trying to resign, the corporate world obviously had no idea. And they were like, this sounds like an amazing opportunity, but, what's this industry like? And, it kind of gave me a little bit of like, oh, I don't know. But honestly, 2 years later, I haven't looked back. I feel like if I never got that call, like that call really changed my life, um, because seriously now, like, I mean, within a couple of months, I was working with Willow and I was working with all these other amazing authors, and it just opened up this whole new world for me. And I do believe like the romance industry is such an amazing industry to get into as well, with plenty of opportunities. And I just absolutely love it because now I say I've come from corporate, quit the corporate role, and I started this new journey. And what I love about it is literally just that I get to hang out with the authors that I mean, I read Willow Winters before I even had her on as a client. And the fact that she's one of my clients now, I'm just like, this is absolutely surreal.
I love
It's
it too. I love it too.
it's funny because our journeys are the same. I worked in advertising and now I
Oh,
do what I do. And
yeah.
I think it's what do I
Yeah.
do? I think it's the opportunities. People don't realize how vast they are in our community.
hmm So one thing I think people are going to ask are about those opportunities. So when
Mhm.
Kat brought you on, it was to help with the bookstore and social media, right? Is that right?
Yes, and also to be her PA.
hmm
So she brought me on like pretty much like as an all-rounder, help with the bookstore, because I was just working casual with her on the side. So I only had one shift a week at the bookstore whilst working full time. So for me, I've always been working. And so now working with Kat, and she gave me this opportunity of being her PA, working full time with her, being her social media strategist for the bookstore. And I still work at the bookstore, but it's now only about I had one shift a month when I worked casual, and now I have about 4 to 5 shifts a month. Um, because basically on the other days, social media marketing, it does take a lot of time. And then, so then she also said to me, and then what do you want to do? She literally sat me down and said to me, you deserve more. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And for me, it was financial freedom.
hmm
As much as I wanted work life balance, I also wanted financial freedom. And even though I'm still quite new as a social media agency, I realized I was like, I have to figure out the niche. And what I found, especially in Australia, is that there is not many PR agencies here at all for indie romance authors. And so I sat with her. She's also Kat's very much like my mentor to me. So I sat with her and I basically said, I want to bridge the gap somewhere. And I feel like just being a workaholic is in my blood. So even though I left the 9 to 5, I did enter in the 24/7 life, and I'm okay with that.
When you
I
love
feel
something,
that.
though, I feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
though, when you love something, I'm like, I'm never not working. Like, even if it's my brain
Yeah.
is always constantly going in some direction of marketing or writing or plotting, and I'm like, but when you love it, you're like, oh, right, I probably should, take some time off. And I'm like, good. I love doing it. So,
I
yeah, I
literally asked
understand that.
Stacey, I said, "What are you doing anything for an escape?" And she told me she was editing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But let's
Yeah.
refocus on that social media and do a little bit of a spotlight there because we are seeing, if you don't mind giving a little bit of insight into our audience, we're seeing a lot of changes. And you have been here for a lot of the changes from TikTok, the ease of going viral. And, book talkers and creating this business where a lot of them charged a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, those virals were minimized. And now there's TikTok Shop and a lot of authors trying to, get onto TikTok Shop. And then we also have Instagram, and now they have their True Reels, and that's affecting the algorithm. So I'm sure that that is kind of like a wild ride that's difficult to navigate. So what is your insight on that?
100%. Such a wild ride. Like, I can't even sit here and be like, no, like, it's all fine. It's all gravy, because I'd be definitely lying to you. Kat and I spiral about this all the time. But I think what we have to remember is that as a social media strategist like myself, we have to pivot, we have to change. I have spoken to plenty of, because I've come from a marketing background, I've spoken to plenty of people who have been in marketing for many years, 20 odd so years. And even 20 years ago, TikTok wasn't around.
No.
And from, them telling me digital marketing wasn't even a thing. We'd hand out newspaper, newsletters, we'll do this. It's always changing. And that's the best thing about marketing. I think that it can never be outdated because there's always going to be something new.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my insights are. Yes, right now it's a little bit of a uncertainty. The algorithm changes all the time, but I love the word and I always use it. Just pivot and adapt as well. And I always update my
Yeah,
Sorry.
pivot.
It's like the Ross pivot.
Yeah, pivot. Yeah. Yeah. Kat and I are massive friends, like, friends fans. So we literally always go, just pivot. um, and I'm always updating my authors, just letting them know, reassuring them. There's a lot of freak out obviously happening amongst, the industry with this, but the algorithm, I definitely think TikTok's staying, and after TikTok, it might be something else. Look, Lemonade's coming out. Red Note might even transition into being more user-friendly based for non-Chinese speakers. And yeah, I just honestly think like you just have to adapt. And I think even yourself, Willow, you would know that like you're one of the authors that I find you can easily you do the it. You just go to the next thing. You don't just kind of like dwell on, oh no, the algorithm, what do we do? You go to the next thing, you pivot, you
Oh,
change.
definitely. I'm so used to just falling on my face that right now I just focus on getting up as quick as I can. And
Yeah.
I don't
No, you
think
wouldn't last in this business if you don't pivot. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's so changing that the people that do probably dwell on it or want to stay or leave quite quickly.
Mhm.
I mean, it's constantly pivoting.
Speaking of some of
100%.
the newer apps, have you heard about what's it, Blue Sky? That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Blue Sky? What do you
Mhm.
think? So Blue Sky is like this alternative to Twitter slash
Twitter.
X slash Threads. I am presently on there, although I'm not physically on there. I don't even know my login. Somebody else is taking content and putting it on there for me. But there's Blue Sky and there's YouTube. And I personally, if I had to put bets on what's going to be next, YouTube gave it a go. They gave it a good run.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money, and it's
See,
still
I don't think it'll be either. Because I
Like it-
think Blue Sky is too much like Twitter, and we've already given
Yeah.
that a go. I think
Twitter
we're too
used
much.
to
We
be.
love the people love the visual now.
Yeah.
So it'd be somebody probably creating. I know a lot of people are in the background creating TikTok like, ones. And
Mhm.
I think it's something that we don't even know yet.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
so
so
I
too.
don't think it's going to be either one of those.
No.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Chantelle?
Well, Blue Sky, I've heard of it, but I haven't been on it, and none of my clients have actually ever mentioned it to me. Like this is probably the
There's
first time being brought up in conversation.
the growth is notable and the
Yes.
income is notable, and so is the presence. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on the platform, and Twitter before Facebook. Oh my gosh, it's before I even ventured into this world. So we're talking over a decade ago. Twitter was the place,
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
So
more
yeah,
conversation there and not
it's very more
more
political,
like
I found too.
like for
Currently.
selling books. It's more a conversation.
Mhm.
So I don't
Mhm.
know if it's a good like quote unquote sales platform though for authors.
Well, wherever your presence is a sale, right? Because even I just had
True.
a viral TikTok with 500,000 views. It was an old post. I just hit the repost, on this day, hashtag on this day. Here we go. And it got 500,000 views in like 2 days. There's not a pop in sales. If you look at my money, everything is stable and everything is always on a slight increase because I'm just posting consistently. But the conversion, even though the virality is there, the conversion isn't on TikTok. And I actually find Facebook to be my number one for presence as well as for conversion, even though it has half the followers. So it could possibly be that just being present on Blue Sky or Lemon 8 or YouTube, just being somewhere and being consistent there might be the new moneymaker. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
It's past the full moon. Okay. So right now we're manifesting. We have
I
let go
love
of
it.
is that right? Or are we what are we doing right now? What is it?
I don't know.
Let go. So we're letting go right now. Never mind. We're not, I'm letting go of the fear
The
of social
fear,
media.
letting go of the fear,
Yeah.
110%. And I think it can be hard for people in business to let go of the fear. I mean, I know I did at the start of the year when there was a lot of uncertainty with TikTok. I'm in Australia. It didn't impact me, but I do have a lot of US, majority of my clients are based in the US, so they did tend to freak out a lot. And I think, for me, it was just more of so like, okay, just like reassuring them that, there's going to be like more platforms out there. And also like TikTok's coming back. Don't worry, guys. Don't stress. But yeah, like you said, Willow, I think utilizing other platforms is always good as well. Right now, I think definitely TikTok is still around, and it's probably got more users on there than these other platforms at the moment. But you're completely right. When more people go to another platform, you'll see there's going to be that boost of viewers, engagement. Even, yes, YouTube tried its best. I mean, I still think there's something there, but you're getting a different collaborate of people on their algorithm. I can't even work out their algorithm. I get a lot of hate on YouTube. So I'm going to assume that YouTube just has a mind of its own and just throws it out. It's kind of, I feel like similar.
It's like they took from TikTok and Instagram, but they have the anonymity of Reddit. So you can't click on somebody and get their information, all of this. So it's very hateful. Like the virals that I have where it's like funny and like goes to the right people on TikTok and Instagram, it doesn't on YouTube because they don't mind being absolutely horrific on YouTube. I always end up finding the
yeah.
Yeah.
I call them unhinged.
Yes.
I say YouTube audience are definitely unhinged. They don't care. I see a lot of, if I see a YouTube video go viral, it's always just like what the hell is this?
So obviously, like one of the big opportunities that you took was that social media aspect. But we're also seeing, you work at this bookstore with special editions, and there are so many bookstores popping up right now. Some with special editions, but not as many. But there's other opportunities too. Like you talked about the strategy and just strategizing in general and keeping your ear to the floor, I think is so helpful. But like for people who are listening, who want to find their moment and be a part of it and see if it's something that they would love to do, what do you recommend for them?
You know what? I think just being in this community is so opening and welcoming, to be honest. So I could really say, okay, you put me on the spot. Give me a sec. Let me think about it. I was getting there and then I went, no, I've lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say go for it. You have nothing to lose, especially if, for me, I did have, obviously I do have a full-time job. And at the start, I was like, what do I have to lose? And I tried it out. And then it expanded and just grew to so quickly that I didn't even realize that it was going to grow this quickly. I thought it's just a passion project. I'm just gonna, I love the industry. I want to be in it. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out how to bridge the gap. And thinking, and you know what? I always say this, like, what's the worst that can happen? Fail, and then I go back to. But I don't feel like it's going back. It's gaining experiences. It's having that under my belt. But I recently just now hired out someone working for me.
Oh, I love it.
The system becomes the boss. Look at that.
Love it.
So after all this fear, I feel like I was like to myself, if I do want to expand the business, because there is huge potential here, I can't do this by myself anymore.
That's fantastic. And it also, my next question was, and I was like, I should know the answer to this, and I don't, is if there are authors who are listening who need someone and they're hearing what you're offering and they want to hire you, do you have availability? And I'm guessing, given you just hired somebody and you're talking about expanding, I'm guessing and hoping the answer is yes. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have availability. We booked out April already. So I've been working behind the works with the new starter for a couple of weeks now. The next availability will be in May, but she's actually bringing on editing services as well, which I never thought could have happened. I'm not an editor myself, but obviously love reading the books, love giving, really, really good constructive feedback, but not an editor myself. So the fact that I could bring on not only a new person in, but also expand to an extra service, that's something that,
Can you
has
go
been.
into detail of more of what your services, what you do? Like, so now you're bringing editing. What else do you offer like an author?
Okay, so at the start, I just did TikTok content creation. And then I thought, well, I've got a background in marketing. I've worked in agency, I've been an account manager. I know the ins and outs. So, and there's also so much to learn. And I feel like I've learned so much in the last 2 years just within TikTok that there's still more to learn. I'm still learning something every day. This past week, I've literally been like, oh, I didn't know that. So
That's the best.
I started TikTok content creation. I still do that for authors, but I've also expanded into social media management as a whole. So pretty much branching into the Instagram management, YouTube management as well. Honestly, any other ones like Lemonade, I can literally pivot into that as well because I have been looking into that. I also offer hook pulling services. So and that's something big that I have noticed that a lot of authors need because I feel like when you got I always say this is my thing. I always say, as an author, you guys have a full-time job of writing. You can't be doing all the marketing yourself because that is a full-time job. And that's what I want authors, especially the indie authors who are quite new, to understand that you can't do it all and it's impossible. You're going to burn out. You will be so tied up on your marketing and you'll forget to write the next book. So this is where a social media agency, PR agency comes in, helps you strategize because and I literally was just making a reel actually just before I jumped on. And I'll share it with you because it was actually a really good one. Um,
The hook line, though, I just want to say I was going to bring it up if you didn't bring it up because it is
yes,
something that's very valuable, and there's not a lot of services out there for people pulling lines for you.
yeah, 100%. There isn't, and I think also it's just talking to someone, getting the good vibes. I think so. Like a lot of authors have told me, oh, I just haven't had great vibes from PR agencies and stuff. But I always, have book a little free discovery call with them just to get to know them, what they need, what their services are, and I'm all about good vibes here. So whatever you, I don't have this same strategy for every author because every author is different, and that's what you've got to look out for as well. I'm sorry if I did not answer the question.
You did. You
You
answered
did.
it. Yes. What is the real?
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, but posting my book is out isn't marketing. You need a strategy.
That's so true.
Yes.
Years ago, like a decade ago, literally a decade ago, that is what authors did, indie authors. Didn't worry about a paperback. There was no such thing as a cover reveal. They just
Yep.
posted, surprise, here's my book, send a link in Facebook. And you could back then post a link and it would still get reach and everything. And automatically they'd be in like the top 100. Everybody would have a party. And a
Good
Yeah.
old days.
somebody else would. Yes. Yeah. Release days on Tuesdays wasn't a thing. Cover
Yep.
wasn't
Yeah.
a thing. Strategy wasn't as needed because
Yeah.
competition was fewer. Facebook was really all there was. Instagram hadn't even come out yet, let alone TikTok. And the community was rather small. And not a lot of people knew about being an indie author and self-publishing. So 100% the times have changed and they have changed wildly.
Ooh, wildly. Yeah.
100%. And it goes back to the, previous questions about, how we feel about changes in the algorithm in marketing. A couple of years ago, you didn't have to have a strategy, but with this becoming very, I guess, so many new authors coming through, it's different now. It's a very competitive industry that you guys in. It's a race to be at the top. And I think people just think, yep, just throw my book out and it'll sort itself out. But unless I guess you're Rebecca Yaros or, like
Even they
yourselves,
did not throw it out there.
Yeah, but Rebecca Yaros isn't Rebecca Yaros without marketing. Like the reason why is because of marketing PR. I've heard that,
100%.
that book. I mean, not that she wasn't great, great,
Yes,
but
yes,
like
she's
that's the reason why she
fantastic.
has such a name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my light went out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm done.
Yes, they did a lot of marketing. She has always thought very strategically, I think, about her launches. I do have a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And some people don't like the second part of the question. But I ask
Oh,
everybody
boy.
this. I know, I ask everybody
try
this.
my best to answer it. I will try my best.
You can
What's
ignore
funny
it
is
if
I
you
don't
don't
think
want
it's
to
like
answer
that.
it. Yeah, we give the option if you don't want to, that's fine. But the question is, what is your high and what is your low? And it is the low that people, I don't know if you didn't catch on to this, but it was the low part that not everybody wants to answer.
High, low, in what sense? Sorry.
And being a part of this industry, in this journey that you've been on.
Okay. Hi. Obviously working with amazing authors. I don't think I've ever had one author where I've literally, because working in corporate, you work with all these clients and you're just like, I can't deal with that person. But honestly, coming in, I'm like, this doesn't even feel like work. I feel like I'm just chatting to a friend, like, all this stuff. So that's a high, obviously. Like, it's been it's been good to give back, and also just working alongside them has been absolutely incredible. I'm always grateful. I'm always thankful. I thank my lucky stars, my angels, and also Kat, obviously, for I guess taking my corporate goggles off and seeing that there's more, and I deserve more as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the lows, I guess, would be, that it is consistently changing, obviously, and you're going to lose clients because obviously, from their perspective, it's like, where they're trying to make sales, and there's months where they don't. I mean, with the whole Amazon boycott, that has impacted a lot of authors. But I always kind of tend to, and it's got to be so cliched and cringy, but the lows end up becoming like, okay, but let's flip this around.
No, I don't think that's cringy. I think that's fantastic. I love that. Yes.
I think that's a healthy attitude.
Yeah. And I'm like, pivot.
Yeah, pivot.
Well, yeah. I mean, because if I'm stuck on the lows all the time, I'm just spiraling and I'm in my head, and then business doesn't go ahead. So, but, of course, like, I'm always going to be brutally honest. Like, there are some lows where you lose some clients, but then you gain some. Is that a good answer?
It's an excellent answer.
There is no right or wrong answer. You're like, yes. You got an A+.
I mean, I could talk more because obviously, like, when it comes to the books, like the bookstore, I'm such an extrovert there. It's really funny. Like, I tend to just like kind of yap constantly. I'm just like yapping. And, there's always this like, obviously there's drama in the industry, and like, we just kind of yap about it. But obviously, I kind of tend to go, yep, no, but, moving on.
Yeah. It is. It's a different environment for sure. And we definitely have our moments where we yap about all sorts of things in the industry. But not always on the podcast, only sometimes. No.
Outside the podcast.
Yeah. Is it okay if our followers have questions for you? Are they allowed to leave it in the comments and we can come back to you and ask you for information?
Absolutely. If there are any questions, I would think this is such a win.
I love it. There will be. There definitely will be.
Yes.
Do you have any last words of advice? Also, they need to know where to find you. We will do it, but website, or would you prefer social media?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so sorry. I'm like still trying to get used to that. Oh wow, like this side business, this passion project is actually
Your
going
business,
to
yeah.
Yeah.
the business.
It's not a
Yeah,
side
so
business anymore.
I
Yeah.
know. So even when I introduced myself, I was like, I don't even know how to introduce this, but it's because I probably need to talk about it more than I do.
Mhm.
But my business name is Romancing Inc. Um, the tagline of that is, oh my gosh, see, now I forgot the tagline because I'm on the spot, but it's your story, our strategy.
Love
And you
it.
can
Love
find me,
that.
yes, you can find me. And I just made a new website at the start of the year as well. You can find me on romancinginc.com or social media, which is Romancing Inc.
Mhm. I love it. Yay. Guys,
Yay.
like the post, remember to subscribe and share this with any authors who you think should also reach out to Chantelle. Make sure you leave your comments below and all that good stuff. Lots of love to you guys. And thank you so much for coming on, Chantelle.
Thank you,
Thank
Chantelle. It was
you
Thank you
so
amazing to have
so much
you.
for
much.
having me. Thank you so much for having me, girls.
Yes. I'll see you guys next time.